Welcome to The Secret Place with Bennett, devotions for hungry hearts and searching souls.
Hi friends, Steffa here in The Secret Place. I'm glad you're back. I am doing the final Secret Place this month on the Bennett book, Sacred Companionship, or actually it's called Sacred Companions. And this time I want to focus in on something Bennett said and when he used Henry Nouwen. We're talking about solitude of heart. Henry Nouwen describes the nurture of inner stillness as the cultivation of a solitude of heart. Such solitude is not a state of relaxation, nor is it simply a matter of being alone. Solitude of heart comes from attentiveness to the presence of God. It's the prayer of spirit to spirit, a prayer of attunement, not necessarily words. It is a response of surrender to the Spirit of Jesus, who offers rest for our souls. And then that's a quote. That's the end there. I keep being immersed and immersing myself in this practice, this notion of solitude of heart and the practice of it. It's like it never becomes, it's not tiresome for me to do this or talk about it because it's something that needs to be practiced all the time. Now, I wanted to talk today a little bit about that idea that he brings, about how rest for our souls, which is promised to us, isn't always an experience that everyone has. So if God promises us rest for our souls through Jesus, why don't we always have it? And is there a way to kind of turn on that faucet, if you will, and experience God's rest all the time? Is there a way? Ideally, I think it's from developing this practice of solitude of the heart. And in my own experience, I know that the first few months and even the first couple of years of moving in this practice of solitude of heart, back in 1990 when I started it, it was hard. It was hard. There were moments where I sensed the presence of God, and there were moments where I felt like what I was doing in the solitude, in the stillness, in the quiet, where I felt like it was centering me and it was something that the Lord was blessing. But it took a long time to get to a point where that practice became something that was happening. How do I explain it? Well, like Brother Lawrence says, like the pots and pans prayer, like where it was happening all the time, where I was walking in that presence, awareness of that presence. I think we're all walking in the presence of God. God is everywhere. I learned that from my earliest catechism in Catholic school. God is everywhere. The psalmist says, "Where can I hide from your presence, O Lord?" Adam couldn't hide from God's presence in the garden. God's presence is all over. But when I say presence and walking in God's presence through that solitude of heart, what I'm referring to is more of an awareness of his presence. And an awareness of his presence is awesome. It's awesome. It's the proper use of the word awesome. How do you experience the presence of God? I don't know. But I know when I have experienced the presence of God, sometimes it's an inkling, it's a moment, it's a fleeting moment. Other times sometimes it's like for an extended time, like just when I'm in that solitude of heart, in actual prayer, in the quiet space. It could go on for, 10 minutes or 20 minutes or a half hour or an hour. It's been once in a while for me sometimes. But other times it's not so much a heavy awareness where it's like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to say anything. because his presence, the sense of his presence, is so real. It's more of an embodied kind of knowing that he is with me. His presence is with me. That's what I meant. That's what Brother Lawrence meant about pots and pans Jesus, pots and pans prayer, where you can experience an awareness of the Lord's presence, even when you're washing your dishes, and you can do that, and then it becomes this joyful thing. Yeah, can you imagine that? Scrubbing pots and pans and washing dishes becomes something that's not just okay or to be endured, but actually becomes joyful. Well, that is what, for me, how I experienced the presence of the Lord over time, over somewhere, I don't even know when it happened, but somewhere in the rhythm of the discipline. I know that's a dirty word for some of us, but truly, somewhere in the discipline of the solitude, going to the quiet place, bringing my full self before the Lord without distractions, somewhere there, maybe 2 to 3, maybe 5 years later, it began to be more of a felt awareness, like almost at all times, like almost to the point where I don't sense the presence of God is the oddity. Now, through times of trauma, I have experienced the presence of God. Experiencing the presence of God does not mean that we don't experience trauma, that we don't experience grief, that we don't experience pain. Hey, if you're human, you're going to experience all those things. All of them, every one of them. But I remember going in 2007 into an emergency hospitalization for an emergency surgery. And it was scary for everyone around me because the doctors had done everything and they're looking at my husband and my kids and they're like, I guess you're going to make it. And they were going in. I don't want to give the whole explanation of that gory day and those 3 weeks afterwards, but I went in. It was like, I'm usually like Chicken Little Heart, like my friend Kate calls herself, Chicken Little Heart. Well, I'm usually like, I don't have any big brave heart. But the Lord was with me, and I knew it. I knew it. I sensed his presence. It was the same thing when my son died. Gosh, I couldn't stop screaming or crying. But the Lord was with me, and I knew it. I share these secret place videos and try to be as open and vulnerable as my Chicken Little Heart allows me to be. I do it because I want you to be encouraged that I'm not a special person. And monks aren't just the only ones who can experience the presence of God or contemplative prayer. But that everyone, I want everyone to experience the calming, restful beauty, unsurpassed beauty of the presence of the living God. I have been on this journey with the Lord for many years, many years, since I'm 17, my first year of college. And he has been with me through thick and thin, and I have been with him. I have not always been faithful. There have been many times where I have kind of fallen down on my faith, doubted so greatly that I even doubted if I was a Christian. I even doubted his existence. But God is greater than our hearts. And he knows us. He knows you. So be patient if you're still listening. When I'm always talking about the solitude of heart, when I'm talking about the presence of the Lord, there are so many benefits of it right here on this earth where you're living. like we started out in this passage today, we can truly be present with others and for others and show up for others when we experience true presence within ourselves. But there is a remarkable, unsurpassed, I don't really know any other word except to call it a beauty from knowing him and experiencing his presence. So I bid you adieu today and bless you in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. I hope you'll leave a comment, direct message me, or contact me somehow so we could communicate and converse about these things. God bless you. Have a great day.
Breathe, listen, and receive. Take a moment to soak it all in. Until next time.